This is a simple stockpile surveyed by one of my clients to do the exact thing you're looking to do, which is to calculate the volume of the pile. I'm doing this in Carlson Survey 2010 with AutoCAD 2010. Really shouldn't matter unless you get back to a version older than 2008. What I'm about to do should be in the 08-09 as well as the 2010 versions. What I want to do is, from the surface menu, I want to triangulate and contour. I'm going to create a triangulation file called stockpile. I'll use an inclusion boundary. And I'm really not that interested in contours. If you wanted to see the contours, you could tell it to draw. It's kind of your preference there, but not required. I'll pick my inclusion area. There's nothing to exclude, so I'll hit enter, and then I'll window around my objects. I like to view these using the Surface 3D Viewer, just making sure my tin was in fact created. Okay, so that gives me the stockpile. What I need to do is I need to compare that to the base, very similar to what a lot of other programs do, basically telling it to stop here, calculate up to there. So what I do is I go back to surface, triangulate and contour it one more time, and this time I'll tell it that the surface is the stockpile base. Use the same toe line as my inclusion, nothing to exclude, and the only thing I want it to create from now is that same perimeter line. I don't pick anything else but the perimeter. So if I were to look at that one in a 3D viewer, stockpile base, basically we have just a flat surface. So that now if we were to go into the surface menu and do volume by triangulation using two triangulation surfaces, I could take the base, compare it to the stockpile, and I'll use the default shrink and swell factors and all the information, and then there is my stockpile. One other option you have is under the surface menu, you can do volume by triangulation to a single surface volume, taking the stockpile and calculating two elevations, 622 for example, which should be not 622, 926, 923. We'll set it to 923. And there we go. There's our volume. Now the problem with this is anywhere we're not at that elevation, that 923, basically we're doing some interpolating and filling back in. Because of that, I'm not a huge fan of this particular option, but you could use that as a secondary option. You also have in Survey the ability to do grid surfaces, so you could make a 3D grid file and then do two grid surface volumes, or even do volumes by layer. I'm not a huge fan of the volume by grid. I don't think it's as accurate as the volume by the prismoids and the surfaces, but that's another option that you do have here inside of Survey without having to go into Civil to do it.